ask the historian a question. Raymond, know everything.
Well, a good Tuesday morning to you, Central Georgia. Obviously, today is the day that has been heavily anticipated by many of you. The potential for winter weather is looking very, very likely, and we might already be seeing a couple of snow flurry showers here in Central Georgia. So we're going to go through the timing, the latest updates that we've seen as of this morning, and what you need to know heading throughout this afternoon, this evening, and into tomorrow morning, because we're not quite out of the woods even after this precipitation moves out of Central Georgia. So we're going to go ahead and take it over to a few of our sky cams. Just take a look at what's going on right now. So this is looking westward at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. As you can see, some dark clouds out there on our western horizon. There could be a couple flurry showers out that way, and I'll show you that on the satellite and radar picture in just 1 second. But I do want to flash it over to some sky cams that aren't here in Central Georgia, but they are out of our viewing area. A look at what's to come and what we can anticipate over the next couple of hours. Let's see if I can find one. Here is one right here just to our southwest in Central Georgia. This is going to be in Eufaula, Alabama, so right there on the Georgia-Alabama state line. And I'll take it full screen so you can see a little bit of white on top of that building right there. Maybe a little bit of those flurry showers that are coming in from the west. Definitely nothing that is really a steady snow flurry shower, but nonetheless, there has been frozen precipitation sighted just to the southwest of us and even further over to the west. Let me move on the map real quick. You'll be quite shocked to see at what some areas of the country look like right now. We'll take it over to somewhere in Louisiana. Let's try to see if we have a good view. How about this one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana right now to our west, an area that is not used to seeing any snow whatsoever. That is looking like a winter wonderland over in Louisiana. Now you can see the roads are looking a little bit slick. Thankfully, not much of it sticking to the roads as of right now, but still they're in the bulk of what we are seeing from this winter storm. And even areas as far west as Houston, Texas, over into Port Arthur, Texas, there's even been a little bit of a wintry mix sighted down near the Texas and Mexico border. So yes, very unheard of to see winter storm warnings all across the Gulf Coast of the United States, but also that is what's to come later here in Central Georgia. That is what we are forecasting. So right now, here's a live look at our satellite and radar picture. I'm going to pop the camera back out. Right now, you can see all of this gray color. This is going to be our cloud cover. Now, there's a bunch of different radars overlapping one another, and you can see over here where you start to see some of the green colors. That's going to be our radar that's indicative of precipitation rate. So, you know, typically when we see some green on the radar, that's some light precipitation. But then under it, if I pop that down, you'll be able to see some of these kind of gray and white colors. And now I'll pop it full screen so you can get a better look at that. So obviously it's going along with the cloud cover. And if I take the cloud cover away on this palette, this is your wintry precipitation. They're very light flurry showers, maybe a little bit steadier moving over into Taylor County, up into Upson County as well. So we're starting to see a little bit of winter weather. This is going along with what one of our long range or short range models did say, the high res model, but still we are expecting the main event later on this afternoon, probably in the next 5 or so hours. Actually, it's 9 a.m. I thought it was 7 a.m. for some reason. In about the next 3 to 4 hours, we're looking at all of Central Georgia to get a good taste of what this winter precipitation is like, but starting to see a little bit of winter weather moving in right now. And we definitely can say that this is of the wintry precipitation type. Taking a look at these temperatures right now, 26 over in Butler. Everyone in Central Georgia is hovering below that money number. That money number is 32 degrees. So obviously the only 32 that you see is down in Vidalia to our southeast. Everyone is conducive enough for seeing some snow showers, a good amount above freezing or below freezing temperature as well. If you remember about a week and a half ago, we weren't looking at many areas that were below freezing temperature. Actually, everyone was hovering in the mid 30s. That's why we got more of a wintry mix and a cold rain. But it does look like the Arctic air is still settling in place, and it looks like temperatures are very conducive for frozen precipitation as moisture from this winter storm does creep into the the state of Georgia. So I'm going to take away the satellite again because it really makes it kind of hard to see with all that gray overlapping one another. We'll zoom it out and I'll show you the whole state of Georgia. There's still some light flurries actually to the north of us, areas that we weren't really forecasting too much snow, obviously getting their fair share of flurries, not really accumulating to much. And now this gives me the idea, let's actually take a look at downtown Atlanta, if we can get a look inside, maybe at a few flurries in that area. Let's see, we have a bunch of sky cams up in the Atlanta area. Maybe popping it over to Mercedes-Benz Stadium real quick. Got all the national championship logos up from last night where Notre Dame fell to Ohio State. Not really sure if you can see anything, so maybe these are very light precipitation showers that aren't really popping up in real time, but they are showing up on the radar. They could not be quite making it to the ground, or they could be so light in nature that we're just not even able to see anything on the sky cam. So right there, that is what the state of Georgia looks like as a whole right now. Plenty of kind of maybe flurry showers, but as you can see, there's a lot more dense white and gray colors further back to our west and our southwest. So this is going into Alabama over here. This is around the Montgomery area, mainly southwest of Montgomery, creeping into Mobile, and then that southern tip of Mississippi around Hattiesburg, getting down into Biloxi, and then the whole southern boot of Louisiana. Wow, that is just a sight to see, and you definitely don't see that too often. And this is mainly snow showers right here. If I show you what I'm talking about, you can see this pink color at the very bottom of your screen. That's your wintry mix. That's where you're getting the borderline, maybe freezing rain, the sleet. Most of all of central Georgia, or not central Georgia, Louisiana looks to be engulfed in snow showers. And this extends even further westward, over around Houston, back near Austin maybe. That is just a widespread impact of all of this precipitation with this winter storm. Like I said earlier this morning, it does look like the radar is a little iffy down here. It's a little spotty. Maybe some of that pink color around Brownsville, right on the Texas and Mexico border. So I think northern Mexico is seeing some snow. That just goes to show you how much this is a very unprecedented winter storm here all across the south and the southeast. So now let's go ahead and take it into the biggest change that we've seen basically since last night. So early this morning when I got into work around 4 a.m., our winter weather alerts did change ever so slightly. Almost all of central Georgia was in this winter storm warning, but now our northern tier of counties, so Monroe County, Jasper, Putnam, up into Hancock, those counties have been added into this winter storm warning as well. All this basically means is there's greater confidence that all of central Georgia now will see some form of winter weather impacts, whether that's a wintry mix, whether that's accumulation of a few inches of snow, or that's icy conditions that will linger into tomorrow. There is good confidence that we'll see some form or some shape of these winter weather impacts. Now this hasn't quite started yet. This will start in just less than an hour at 10 a.m. today, and then this will go all the way until 7 a.m. tomorrow, but this could be extended into the morning depending on what our temperatures are, how much of that slippery and deteriorating conditions that we're seeing on the roads. So that still remains to be seen, but once again, just showing you this to show that there is greater confidence that we are going to see winter weather impacts here in central Georgia. So now let's go ahead and take it into our models. This is obviously what you want to see, the timing of all of this. So want to go ahead and show you future view. This is the one that we always use. This is the graph model. You'll see this in our daily forecast. It's not hinting at any of these flurry showers that we're currently seeing pop up. So maybe they're a little bit too light to be seen, or future view just didn't really buy that in the latest model run that we did see with it. But you can see the winter precipitation down here in the bottom left of the screen around the Mobile area, and timing it out all through central Georgia. It still looks like we go through most of the morning just with dense cloud cover all across central Georgia. Then finally we start to see a little bit of maybe some flurry showers creeping in around the 12 p.m. window. So right there at the midday hour, I'll keep you updated if this is happening in live time when we get to the midday show later on. But it does look like it's continuing to see this cluster of frozen precipitation jet into central Georgia around 1 to 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, around this window, temperatures for the high temperatures, I did have forecasted of 36 degrees. If we are to hit that high temperature, it's going to be around that 1 to 3 p.m. window. So this would lead to more of a wintry mix rather than just straight snow showers here in central Georgia. So I'm not quite sure if we're going to see steady snowfall by about the 2 p.m. hour. Nonetheless, some form of wintry precipitation will be present as we go to about 2 p.m. It just remains to be seen what kind of precipitation it will be. Will it be more of a freezing rain or a sleet, or will it be more steady snow showers? But now as we take it into about 4 p.m., this is looking very widespread, covering almost all of the central Georgia area. And now is when we're looking at temperatures to continue to drop. I have received reports from further over to the west. Once the snow did get going, it allowed for those temperatures to drop down into the upper 20s. We're very likely looking at that scenario in central Georgia. So everyone in central Georgia is looking at seeing those steady snowfall showers as we go throughout the afternoon into the evening hours. It just remains to be seen what time everyone will kind of transition maybe from that mix into snow showers. But also we could maybe not even see that mix whatsoever. It could just be straight snow showers all throughout the afternoon and evening. I just think if temperatures are going to hover a little bit above freezing, then it's going to be more of that wintry mix as opposed to steady snow showers. So this whole swath is engulfing most of central Georgia until we start to move just past dinner time. So around 7 p.m. we'll start to see this line steadily make its way back down the I-16 corridor. It's still looking like we have pretty steady snowfall all across the area. But then as we creep closer and closer to the overnight hours, 10 p.m. it's just our southern and southeastern counties that are left with seeing some snow showers. And then as we go into midnight tonight, maybe around 1 a.m., we're looking at all of this precipitation to exit stage to the southeast, and then we're left with a little bit of clouds that linger across central Georgia, but we will clear out as we go into Wednesday morning. Now, I want to note this right here because obviously not too many clouds in the picture by about 7 a.m. That's when we hit our low temperature. When you don't have clouds in the picture in the early morning hours, that's when that low temperature dips down a little bit further than it did this morning. So we were in the low to mid to maybe upper 20s all across central Georgia temperature-wise this morning. If we're going to be clear to start tomorrow, I very well could see some numbers drop into the upper teens in central Georgia. So obviously, yes, that's cold, but if we go into the overnight hours and these temperatures are well below freezing temperature, anything that is at the ground is going to stick and it is going to stay frozen until we get above that 32-degree mark, which we're not forecasted to do until around 11 a.m. to the midday hour tomorrow. And even then, we're not going to be above freezing temperature for quite a while. It's only going to be a couple-hour period. So that's our graph model. That's just one model out of the many that we have been throwing at you. Let's take a look at the high-res model right here. So remember those flurries I was showing you on the live satellite and radar? Right here, you're starting to see maybe some clusters of light snow showers moving into central Georgia right here at the 9 a.m. hour. So I think the high-res model has definitely nailed it in terms of that. But we obviously are seeing a little bit further to the north, and I'm not seeing that behind the banner up there. Still, these models aren't perfect, but it is a good indication that maybe we have seen a good amount of consistency with this model. So now as we go through 11 a.m., mostly a cold rain across central Georgia. You'll see temperatures hovering in the mid to upper 30s further down to the south, but further up to the north, we're just below freezing temperature. So there's a good mix of a cold rain, a wintry mix, even some steady snowfall showers around 11 a.m. according to this model run. And then as we go closer to about the 12 to 1 o'clock window, that's when we start to see this kind of purple and blue color kind of jet into central Georgia. And like I said, once the snowfall does get going, we're looking at these temperatures to start to drop. And then basically snowfall overtakes any type of precipitation we have by around that 4 p.m. window. So once again, the earlier the snowfall is going to be, I think you have a better chance of seeing a mix. But once we get to about 3, 4 o'clock, that's when temperatures are going to be 32 and below, and that's when we're looking at steady snowfall showers throughout the rest of your Tuesday. So this is going all the way into tonight, this evening. Even still by 10 p.m., this model is hinting at still widespread snow here in central Georgia, while the graph was saying that that snow maybe only will be in our southeastern corridor. And then as we go into the overnight hours, we still could very well see winter precipitation into possibly the 3, 4, 5 a.m. window. So that would obviously not allow temperatures to drop as low as I was just talking about, the upper teens, but still low 20s is going to be good enough to allow for the freezing over of anything at the ground. And then as we go throughout tomorrow, going to be a clear sunny day. Temperatures going to get into the upper 30s, maybe the mid 30s. That remains to be seen, but still not too much of a window that these temperatures are going to be above freezing temperature. So that's what two of our models do say. Like I said, I think this high-res model is nailing it or hitting the nail on the head right now with those light flurries that are moving in. But then I think the general timing of the main event is going to be more according to our graph model. So around 1 to 2, we'll start to see bigger clusters of some winter precipitation move in. But we very well could see these flurry showers right now develop into stronger clusters of maybe some steadier snow showers all across central Georgia. So now I know the question probably on all of your minds, amounts. How much snow am I going to get in my area? So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. I'm going to show you some graphics that we've generated and some of what the models do say. Do not get locked in to what your city says for snowfall. This can change ever so slightly. Winter weather is ever changing, and the slightest difference can make all of the world of difference with how much snow or even ice that you are going to see. So this is just what our future view model says. So that very first one I showed you, you're looking at some pretty impressive totals here, especially by central Georgia standards, at least further up to the north, maybe around the ½ inch to the inch range up there, but it does look like most of central Georgia are running somewhere in about that 1 to 2 inch range, and especially the further south that you go, starting to mix in some values above the 4-inch mark. So will that happen? Will that come to fruition? There is a world where this does not even, we don't even come close to these totals, and there is a world where we actually oversee these totals and we get up to 5 or 6 inches. It's all going to remain to be seen, but I will show you this to hint at one thing, because the further south that you go in central Georgia, that's where we have more confidence that you will see the steadier snowfall and the higher snowfall totals. That has remained to be the case, and it's a flip-flop scenario from what we had about a week and a half ago. Areas further to the north, they were a little bit cooler, and that's typically what you think you'd see, obviously with central Georgia being so far in the south. Well, this system is so far down in the Gulf. We're on the northernmost edge of any moisture that it's sending up here. So we are looking at a scenario where maybe not enough moisture reaches it up to the northern portion of the state, and we're stuck with more snow than even areas in the North Georgia mountains are seeing. So that's just the way this setup is. It's really doesn't come around much whatsoever. So that's why we keep calling it kind of unprecedented and something that you really don't see too much. But that's just a look at one model's estimated snowfall totals. According to the National Weather Service, I've drafted this kind of outline right here. And I'm just getting word that it's actually snowing outside here at the station. So I'm going to have to go take a peek at that in just a little bit, but obviously going to try to keep you informed as of right now. So those light flurry showers, that's what we're continuing to see come to fruition right now. I'll get through this and then we'll pop it over to the Macon Sky Cam. But the further north, maybe about a trace to an inch. This is just a rough estimate. So once again, don't get locked into where your city or where your county is in these shaded areas. The further north, looking at less snowfall, maybe about 1 inch to 2 inches across much of our central portion. That includes Warner Robins, Macon. Again, that's not set in stone. That's a general estimate given the guidance of all of the models coming together, kind of giving you a rough average. But then this little cluster of dark blue down here in our southern corridor, this could extend a little further eastward. I do believe that we will see that just given the angle of this. Obviously, this is going to exit towards the southeast. Southeast areas are going to be the last to see those snow showers leave. 2 to 4 inches is possible. Even higher amounts could be possible. So like I said, there's a world where we over exceed expectations. There's a world where we under exceed expectations. But this is a general idea. Nonetheless, all of these amounts, this all being said, anything that does fall is going to stick to the ground because we are going to be cold, and this is going to cause complications on the roads, even if it's a ½ inch of snow or it's 2 inches of snow or it's 4 inches of snow. So everyone's looking to see the implications of this winter weather, no matter how much snowfall that you do get. So please, I do encourage you to stay off the roads around the midday hour. That's really the cutoff line that I am kind of setting right now. Obviously, if you absolutely have to be on the roads, I know there's some people that can't avoid it. Definitely take it very, very cautious because, like I said, anything that does fall is going to stick. It's going to create messy travel conditions and slippery roads. So once again, I'm going to show you this graphic. Actually, I promised you I'm making Skycam. We're going to go to that because Frederick Price just came in and told me that it is lightly dusting outside. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our Skycam is seeing, if we can see anything. Really hard to tell. I'll take it full screen just so you can get a good idea of it, but I'm not seeing much on this camera right now. Maybe just got one of those very light dustings up here at the station. So we're going to be up there in the kind of center left of the screen, up Gray Highway. but not seeing too much as of right now. Like I said, these light flurry showers aren't going to accumulate to much. The main event really looks to come in the afternoons. So let's pop it back over to the satellite and radar. I'll get through three more graphics, and then I promise I'll start answering some of your questions, but not seeing too much here on the satellite and radar. But the satellite and radar isn't always the most accurate. It doesn't pick up on very, very light dustings and such. So we did get a report, an eyewitness right here, so that we did see some form of a flurry shower here in Macon. And this little jet right here stretching from Taylor County into Crawford County could be making its way up into the Macon area. We'll have to monitor the next few scans to keep an eye on that. All right. So I mentioned the wintry mix, just want to go a little bit of a reviewer right here, a little bit of a pop quiz from about a week and a half ago. When I say wintry mix, it's going to be these two categories right here. Freezing rain and sleet, that's going to be precipitation that starts as a liquid, and the closer it gets to the ground, it starts to form into a solid. The only difference between these two, freezing rain freezes into a solid once it hits the ground, and sleet starts to freeze a little bit before it hits the ground as those little ice pellets that you can see. We're looking at predominantly this today, the snow category. We were focused on these two mainly as of a week and a half ago, but now we are focused on snow, and that is going to be precipitation that starts as a solid, and it is a solid all the way to the ground. So hopefully going to see our fair share of that white ground all throughout central Georgia today. So nonetheless, we do have a weather impact alert in place for all day today. So maybe already seeing these snow showers start to pop up, a little bit of a flurry. This weather impact alert is going to go for today and the first half of tomorrow. All we're saying by issuing this is just a period of time that you need to pay extra special close attention to the forecast. The impact, snow showers are looking likely. I can definitely say that with high confidence now. We saw a lot of disagreement just about a week ago, but we've continued to see some consistency with the models. The only thing that's left to fine tune is really the amounts and where they will be. And also the roads continuing to be very hazardous as we go into the first half of tomorrow until we get above freezing temperature to allow for some of that to melt in nature. So that's why we have it for today and all the way into tomorrow morning. Could extend it a little bit further if the road conditions don't improve that much tomorrow. What you need to do is to stay up to date with the changes with the forecast. So by the time we get to this afternoon, this forecast I just gave will be outdated. It will generally be probably the same thing, but we're going to get a very good idea by seeing this moisture move in real time across central Georgia. But obviously travel very, very carefully. Cannot emphasize that enough. Obviously this isn't something we see every day, let alone every year in central Georgia. Driving on slick conditions can pose a threat, so avoid the roads if you can. Like I said, if you can try to be off the roads by the midday hour today, that would be the wisest. But some of you, I know, have to be out on the roads. Please take it a little bit slower because the roads are going to be very slick, something that we're not used to driving on here in central Georgia. So the big three takeaways, a lot of information I just threw at you. I know it's probably a little bit boring. Some of you may have fallen asleep a little bit, but these are the three main things I want you to take away if you did not listen to anything whatsoever. Snowfall likely this afternoon till around midnight. So that is the big window where we're looking at steady snowfall showers to see that snow accumulate on the ground. Higher totals will be to the south. How much snow each and every area does get still remains to be seen, especially the further north that you go. But we are certain that we will see higher totals to the south just from the system setup that we are seeing. And obviously with every model run, you're seeing higher totals towards the south. So obviously something very unprecedented. Areas in the south of central Georgia seeing more snow than areas further to the north. Definitely not something that you see every day. But roads will be impacted regardless of the totals. Like I said, those temperatures at the surface are going to be freezing temperature and below for a majority of this period. So anything that falls will stick and it will create slick conditions, and you don't need much accumulation of ice to pose potential problems. Maybe only about 1/10 of an inch, even less than that, can cause things like power lines to be down and can cause some slick roads with all of that black ice. So try to be off the roads by midday. I will hammer that point in. If you absolutely have to be on the roads, be sure to be very, very careful. Turn on that traction control on your car. But nonetheless, we are expecting widespread impacts all across central Georgia. It won't be very wise to be on the roads really until we get into tomorrow afternoon. We've seen many schools cancel until all the way through tomorrow, which I do think is a wise decision with how we're going to view the road conditions later on today. But these are the three main points I want to drive home with you. And like I said, if you don't remember anything from what I just told you, obviously your brain might have gotten jumbled up with everything. I know my brain, for one, definitely got jumbled up with everything I was saying. Just definitely be cautious on the roads. That is probably the main point I want to drive home, but also just be safe. Use common sense, and we would love to see your winter weather photos whenever you can, but make sure it's safe to do so. Don't go driving down the roads and start seeing a snow flurry shower and start to try to take a video. No, you shouldn't be texting and driving even when it's sunny outside, let alone trying to take a video and multitask and drive in this winter weather. So let me look at a few questions. If I see a couple people commenting about specific areas, what impacts you're going to see. But before asking the question, just go ahead and ask yourself, how far south am I in central Georgia? If you were further down to the south of our viewing area, you're looking at higher snowfall accumulations. They could get up to maybe about 4 inches, even a little bit higher. That still remains to be seen, but that is where you are going to see the higher accumulations of snowfall. So let's see. Looking at a couple, seeing some comments about Putnam County, Milledgeville, looking at less of a snowfall accumulation in Putnam County, Baldwin County, maybe only upwards to about an inch here in central Georgia, but still nonetheless, an inch is going to pose for problems on the roads, especially as we go into tomorrow morning. So even if you're not going to receive as much snowfall, I want to hammer that point in as well, that everyone will be impacted on the roads because anything that does fall is going to stick. It's not going to matter if it's 4 inches or 1 inch or just maybe about a tenth of an inch. It is still going to stick to the ground and create some messy conditions on the roads. Turn this IFB off. I got a beeping sound. All right, so snowing at Lake Sinclair. Already seeing a couple reports of some snow coming in. That's great to see. A couple of flurries. Like I said, think of it as the precursor to this event. We're looking at more widespread snow as we go into the afternoon and the evening, but going ahead and giving you a little bit of a taste. I'm sure no one is really complaining about it. Let's see. Snowing there in Reynolds. Okay, so I imagine Taylor County, that's where we're really seeing on the satellite and radar picture a good cluster of some flurry showers, maybe even a little bit steadier. So like I said, if you're at home and you're seeing some of these flurry showers or even a steady snow shower, please go ahead and send those in rather to the Weather Network, us here at the station. Comment on one of my Facebook posts. We'll be sure to try to show some of your pictures and your videos off all throughout today and into tomorrow. We definitely love seeing that. What time should people be off the roads in Cordele today? I would go ahead and say if you can avoid being on the roads, go ahead and just stay off of them. But the midday hour is really when we're looking at that snow to get steadier, and that is really going to make for messy conditions. So I would say midday at the latest. If you absolutely have to be on those roads, just continue to have extreme caution as you are driving out and about. McDonough will get snow. Not sure about that. The further north that you go, it's still a little bit up in the air. Maybe not going to accumulate too much, but I would think that the McDonough area will probably get a couple of flurries. When are we looking at it hitting Warner Robins, just logging on? I'm going to say 12 to 1 is when we're looking at that main cluster to start to move in, but we very well could see these flurry showers take shape and it could trend a little bit earlier. But I do think the earlier that we have any of this precipitation around 11, maybe into the midday hour, it's going to be a little bit of a mixture of everything. It's going to be some cold rain, it's going to be some wintry mix, it's going to be some steady snow showers. But once all of that moves in, we are expecting any temperatures above freezing to cool back down below freezing temperature. So at the very latest, you should be seeing some form of snow showers by the time we get to about 3-4 this afternoon. At the very latest, it could trend a little bit earlier. We're already seeing maybe a little bit of an earlier start throughout this morning. See. Houston County, same thing right there in the Warner Robins area. That general timing is looking 12 to 1 of any winter precipitation moving in. Going to be more snow showers as you get into the late afternoon hours, but we could see a little bit of an earlier start throughout the next morning or next couple of hours this morning. I hear that the storm is starting to tick north. Does that mean that there is a good chance for the storm to overperform the forecast in more northern counties? Yes, that has been a little bit of a trend we have seen with the National Weather Service this morning. A general little bit of a northward shift. Definitely still a very uncertain north of central Georgia, but if this does shift a little bit further to the north, we could possibly see some heavier snow showers in our far southern corridor, or we could get too far to that center of moisture, and it could be a little bit too warm, and then it turns into more of a mix. But right now, as our models continue to indicate, it's going to be predominantly snow throughout the rest of the day here. What time it should be in Houston County. Once again, Houston County still looking at the same window as just about everyone else. 12 to 1 to 2 is when that main cluster will move in, and after we get through that, temperatures will cool down. And then if you do have a little bit of a wintry mix, it could just be steady snow showers depending on what those temperatures are. That is going to lead the way into snow for the rest of the afternoon and the evening. But like I said, we're already seeing a tad bit of an earlier start. I'm going to go ahead and take it back over to the satellite and radar picture to show you guys. Yeah, still seeing a good amount of agreement. Oh, wrong one right there. Take the sweeping radar off. So yes, all of these colors that you do see here in the white and the gray, moving into our western corridor, those are going to be some light to steady flurries already, kind of a little bit ahead of what we did see with our main future view, and one of our high-res models did catch some of these flurries moving in, but it remains to be seen if this is going to cluster together, maybe starting to move into steady snow showers a little bit earlier than forecasted. But once again, if this does move in a little bit earlier, I think we will see more of the wintry mix variety for just a brief period, but everyone's going to get that snow as we head into the later afternoon hours and into the evening. So it's about 9:30. We have some stuff going on here at the station. We have to record Central Georgia Focus. I've got to do some stuff to get a radar loop up for you guys. So it's a busy morning here. I'm going to be running around like a chicken with its head cut off. But thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with more updates all throughout today, this afternoon, the evening, into tomorrow morning. A lot of us are more than likely going to be staying here at the station because we don't want to be out driving in these conditions. So be sure that you're staying tuned with the latest updates that we do get in real time on the weather team, and we will continue to keep you updated with everything that you need to know. But I'm hoping that all of you have a great time in the snow, but be sure to make smart decisions, and once again, be very, very careful on the roads. So I'll be back at midday at the latest, maybe a little bit before on a stream or on some social platform, but I'll be sure to let you know where I am popping up to give you the latest info on this winter weather today. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you at midday, maybe a little bit before.